Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy Friday. Weekend's just about here. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. We got a game tonight. It is the Jets and the LA Kings. Shout out to everyone that'll be joining us up in the WST section tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you. Maybe the positive energy of the Winnipeg Sports Talk group can help the Winnipeg Jets find a way to hold on and win a damn hockey game. There was part of me after last night being basically a carbon copy of Tuesday's game against Vegas that said to Remis, why don't we just replay Wednesday's show today? And everything that we said on Wednesday about what we saw on Thursday or Tuesday night could just take care of everything that we saw yesterday. I mean, literally, deja vu. 2-goal lead, late goal in the second period, going about half the game without getting a damn shot on goal. Listen, it's going from bad to worse right now. And as much as I said earlier this week that I, like many of you, are sort of at peace with this season, is lost and flushed, and we're talking about draft picks, and, as much as the losing sucks, it maybe helps them at the end. They got to find a way to win a damn hockey game, end this losing streak, try and at least get the cloud away for a day. And Connor Rabchak's going to jump on with us in a few minutes as well. He was there. I mean, that was like a morgue in the Canada Life Center lower bowl last night after, not the lower bowl, I should say, the Matt Frost Media Center and the player availabilities afterwards as the Jets blew another 2-goal lead. And, after a nice start and a good first period and spotting themselves at 2 goals, just seemingly incapable of doing anything offensively for a long part of the game. And you give a team like the Edmonton Oilers that many chances, and you're going to probably end up on the wrong side of it. And guess what? That's 11 in a row. And the Jets remain firmly entrenched in 32nd place of 32 in the National Hockey League. It's going to be a fun one, though. We'll have Dennis Bernstein is going to jump on with us a little bit later on. We'll talk a little bit about this game tonight. The Kings coming into town. Apparently no Anze Kopitar. We'll get to the clean lines coming up. But as Connor will let you know, didn't get a lot from Scott Arneal as he searches for answers right now. And they don't really have too many. Listen, just before we bring in the fellas, huge thanks to our sponsors that make WST happen. Our boys at CoolBet joined me this morning for our Wild Card Weekend, WST Winners Edition. We've cooked up a lot in the combo cards and the exclusives. We made our picks for Wild Card Weekend. So you want to really dive into it. Did about an hour today. That is all up on the YouTube channel. You can check that out at your convenience, and we'll dive into that in the CoolBet lines a little bit later on. Of course, our friends at the Winnipeg Jets, appreciate their support, and looking forward to seeing everyone in the WST section. If you're kind of thinking that maybe your attendance can help turn this losing streak into a one-game winning streak, feel free. I think there's still a few left at winnipegjets.com/WST. If you want to join us, your ticket will include a beverage, and I have a feeling we might need a few more, considering the way this team has been going. Also want to thank Princess Auto, of course, Chud's Power Sports. We will do the NFL Power Poll going into the playoffs, Super Bowl chances, if you will. We'll hit that later on. Hacksaw is going to jump onto the program. And of course, I want to thank our friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli. Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, Canadian Club, Uptown Alley, Princess Auto, Manitoba Battery. We will get to the Clean Line lines for our friends at Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Of course, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, and plenty of options for the why not question of the day. Let's get the fellas in here. We'll go 3 bucks. All hands on deck right now going into the Kings game tonight. Michael Remis and Connor Rabchak. Boys, great to have you on. Remo, how are you doing today? I know we were texting last night. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up, but it does seem, and we'll bring Connor in just a second, it does seem like all of this losing, it's this team is sort of fraying at the edges right now, if not imploding right now, the way they like in the locker room, the way they are imploding seemingly on the ice.
Yeah, it's not good. And the post game was getting depressing. Neil Pionk with the short answers, Scott Arneal seeming pretty defeated at the podium. And, you know, you've seen it a lot in games this year where they look really good for a period and then turn it off for two. And very similar to last couple losses, like the Toronto or the Vegas, blow a 2-goal lead, allow a goal with the final minute of the second period, and you lose it in the third. Very, I want to say like shocking that they lost, but we've seen it so many times already. It's almost like disappointing. Like you want to see them finally get that good feeling. I know it's one thing to say, hey, if they finish low in the standings, like it'll be great for next year, but this isn't good for this year. This is getting very bad. A record losing streak, like worse than anything the Thrashers ever did, which is seemingly hard to do. 1-goal games, the record. Terrible, like 3 wins in the last 23 games. That's really bad. Like this is really hard, and at this point, I'm not sure what's more impressive, last year's 15-1 start or some of the numbers we've seen on this 11-game losing streak. Both very hard to do.
Yeah, Connor, we've certainly seen over the course of the last 18 months the two extremes. The record-breaking start to the season of 15 wins in 16 games. We're into the second half of the season, and this team has 15 wins right now. And the ability to, whether it's blow leads or come back just close enough, I mean, that 1-goal loss after 1-goal loss right now, and I know you were there last night. I mean, not a lot of answers right now, and it really does seem like it's taken a toll on this hockey club.
Yeah, Huss, you talk about the two extremes. The Winnipeg Jets had 22 regulation losses last season. They already have 22 this year. They've matched their regulation loss total in 42 games as opposed to 82 last year. You guys are bringing up the 1-goal games. Sportsnet Stats tweeted out a record, making stat that the Winnipeg Jets had last night, where in games that have been decided by exactly 1 goal. So the Ottawa game, the Jets lost by 2, that doesn't count. The Washington game, Jets won by 4, that doesn't count. In games decided by exactly 1 goal, the Jets have lost 13 straight of them. That's an NHL record. 13 straight 1-goal game losses. So Scott Arneal was asked about it today. He said, they were one of the best teams in the league at it last year. He's right. They were in 1-goal games, and that pendulum has fully swung the other way. And yeah, you brought it up, Huss. The locker room after the game, Pionk, Paterson, Arneal, very defeated, 11 straight losses. Today, DeMello, Lowry, and Arneal all spoke. All 3 of them talked about how they think the Jets as a team are playing scared, playing not to lose, playing afraid that they're going to be the one to make the key mistake that's going to end up in the back of their net and lose them a game. And they're losing a lot of games right now, as we all know. So it's quite puzzling, Huss. It's baffling from where I'm sitting. And to me, the most baffling part of it is this is a veteran team. Pionk and Paterson, in their very short media availabilities last night, both brought up the fact that they're a veteran team and they have the pieces in the room, veteran leadership-wise, to pull through this. But if this team was made up of 20-year-olds, yeah, they give up a goal late in the second period, you'd be like, oh, that's going to break them in the third. But this is a team full of veterans that, has now done that 3 of the last 4 games. And it's just puzzling that I don't think I've ever seen a veteran-laden team make so many rookie mistakes, Huss. I don't know if you agree on that.
Listen, it's a broken record, but it is a disaster. And it's just seemingly getting worse. And we all see it coming. The Vegas game I thought was a real good start, and they limited Vegas to not too much, although they were doing nothing themselves. And they went through a long period, probably about 30 minutes. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, where they may have had 1 or 2 shots in that game. And all of a sudden it went from a really tight game in shots to basically being doubled. The exact same thing happened last night. Sportsnet, I was obviously at the game, but I did see something shown out that since the first couple minutes of the second period, there was basically about half an hour of game time where the Oilers outshot the Jets 18-0, and outscored them 3-0. And I think I told you this off air, but I'm with my brother at the game last night. And we were in the seats I have in the lower bowl. And, we're facing the benches. And it goes one way. This is on the Oiler power play. And, Adam Lowry had a real good shift. They went in. They had a nice scoring chance that almost went in. Didn't get recorded as a shot. But it was one of those close calls that would have been just massive for the team. Well, it didn't happen. And the Oilers get the puck coming up the other way. And I'm like, this is 100% going in 5, 4, 3. I almost literally did the countdown and timed it perfectly with, I believe it was the Bouchard goal going in. I mean, it would be funny if people weren't so invested in it. And you can see the toll that it's taking on so many fans, but also the team. And speaking of the team, I mean, I think for the most part, throughout this losing streak, throughout this tough season, the players have been pretty stand-up after the game and have come out, who has ever been asked to speak, and have said, what they had to say and tried to keep a stiff upper lip moving forward. It was a different story last night. Neil Pionk, to his credit, he answered all the questions, but when you're in this situation, not surprisingly, these guys don't have much to say. This is the entirety of Neil Pionk's post-game media session last night from Canada Life Centre.
Can you explain where it went for the second and third?
Yeah, we just sat on our heels, and at this point, I think it's mental, so we got to overcome that tomorrow.
And would that be the explanation for the tough time putting together the full 60-minute games? You think it's just a full-on mental thing?
Yeah, it's a lot of mental mistakes by all of us. So look to regain our confidence tomorrow.
So let's talk about maybe a little bit more of the finer details of the late goal by McDavid. Another example of that.
I think there's a lot of examples of it, but again, it's just a mental thing. And we're all going through it, so we'll have to capitalize tomorrow.
You sort of kind of break that Groundhog Day mentality.
Find a way. Wish I could tell you the exact answer, but we'll have to come together as a group and figure it out.
Did you see Danny joking in his debut here?
Yeah, I thought he played great. First game against a pretty good team. Used his speed, showed his skill. It's unfortunate we couldn't get it for him, but happy for him nonetheless.
Neil, have you gone through something like this in your career where it just feels like it's really tough to break through?
Yeah, a few times, and I think that's a benefit of a veteran group. We'll get through it.
All right, Connor, you were there. Listen, you've been doing a great job for us all year long, being in these scrums, talking to these players. It seemed like we went to another level of frustration last night. And, that I think was maybe one of the best examples we've seen of it. Stood up there, took all the questions, but at a certain point, what the hell can you say?
Yeah, Huss, you're bang on that. And look, I don't have I was saying this to some of my media colleagues. I don't have the tenure that some of them do covering hockey, covering this team. But you talk about those two extremes, Huss. I feel like I've seen it all now. And I can't call back and say, oh, I've been covering this league for 30 years and this is the worst I've ever seen a locker room. But man, this is dark. And yeah, Neil Pionk, who is very insightful all the time. Great guy to talk to get a pulse on the team and always has a good pulse on the on ice aspect of it as well, not just the room. He's one of those veteran core guys that's been here for years, has lived through those extremes. And you can tell that he's kind of fed up. He's done. These guys are done talking about it. They're done talking about the rookie mistakes. They're done talking about the blown leads. They're done talking about 1-goal games. They just want to go and do it. And then when they get out there on the ice, the same things keep happening. And I think DeMello, Lowry, Arneal, all today talking about how they're playing scared or playing not to lose, playing like they're afraid to make the mistake that's going to lose them a game, I think is an astute observation from those guys, because that's what I'm seeing. And it's just a team that is very, very fragile right now. And every time they give up a late second period goal to cut the lead to 1, you can sit there in the seats and say, yeah, they're losing this game. Like this is going to break them. And it does. And it goes back to what I said earlier. For a veteran group, it's baffling to me that that's where they're at.
Scott Arneal wasn't in a great mood afterwards, as you can imagine. We've heard, Arnie handle different losses in different ways, sometimes anger, sometimes dejected. It was sort of a bit of everything last night. Here's what Arneal had to say about last night's loss.
Those are things that I've said to you before about moments. 30 seconds left. They got the two of the best players in the world on the ice, and we give up a 3-on-2. Can't do that.
Neil had said, the turn in the game, from basically the second period on was he sees it as being mental. Can mental explain the way that game turned?
I think we're all getting mental right now in the sense of it's in everybody's head, but at the end of the day, we have a job to do. We have to play. Our best players have to be our best players in a game like that. Our role players have to play their role. I don't care what the scenario is. You're out on the ice. You're playing a game, something you've done your whole life. We're in a situation like that. However you go about it, you got to find a way. You got to find a way to get yourself over the hump. We got to find a way to get ourselves over the hump. We're so close, but at the end of the day, then we shoot ourselves in the foot in those moments that kind of happen in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you can just feel the frustration from the head coach right now. And, of course, they'll get a chance to get right back at it tonight. Maybe that's a good thing. This one doesn't need to sit around. But, I mean, we're going back to the middle of December since this team's won a hockey game. And it is really taking its toll. I mean, the other thing that was just, hard to wrap your head around is how for literally half the game, the Jets were unable to get a puck on Calvin Pickard for the second straight game. Here's Scott Arneal on the extended period, almost half the game without being able to register a shot.
There was a long stretch of the game from near the end of the second to near the end of the third where you guys didn't have a shot on goal. Was that more they did or more something you guys could have broken?
There was obviously us on our heels. Obviously that group, especially when they loaded up those two big guys together, there was a push on. But at the end of the day, I think that, we got tentative, afraid maybe to make a mistake instead of staying aggressive like we did, and especially in the first 30 minutes of the game. We have to stay aggressive. We can't afford to, sit back on anything, and we have to stay after whoever we're playing, no matter the opposition. And it's what we did in the first 30 minutes, and obviously we backed off in the second half. Not by design, certainly not by design, because it was being barked at. I heard the players barking at each other. I was barking at them. Said the same thing before the start of third is, can't sit on our heels. We got to go.
Reem, as much as he was disappointed from Connor's question, just with the lack of doing anything offensively for a long period of time, it is very clear that the crucial point in the game and the crucial mistake was that final minute of the second period. And they had almost made it 4-1 before. Tell me if you've heard this one before, much like what I just talked about on the power play later on in the third period. But just, egregious mistakes, let's just say less than elite back check by Kyle Connor. And you do it when they're throwing out the nuclear option of McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and Bouchard. That is inexcusable. And listen, I don't know how it was relayed to the players on the bench or in the room or behind closed doors, but you could see he was almost biting his tongue talking about that goal and how it really led to the beginning of the end for the Winnipeg Jets last night.
I don't know what's going on here. You thought that they had a 2-goal lead. Okay, they're going to break this. You're getting some depth scoring. Tanner Pearson, a nice move behind the net to burn Evan Bouchard, you said, but they come right down. 20 seconds left in the second period and score, and it just felt like Edmonton was coming on as the game went on, and the Jets came out strong and fell off. You look at the shots on goal for the Jets, 11-7 for them in the first period, and they played Edmonton really tight here just a couple weeks ago. But second period, shots 12-3 and 11-2. And if it wasn't going to be that goal, that's the way they were playing. I'm sure Edmonton would get one eventually, but just the way it was going. And end of the second period, not great. And when they have a lead, they seem to be, squeezing the stick tighter, or it's just everything that can go wrong is really going wrong on us.
This team is the NHL's version of Murphy's Law right now, where if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Outside of, and again, touch wood, of players getting hurt, which is maybe the thing that's the most frustrating. I mean, this is still a team that has Hellebuck and Morrissey and Connor and Velarde and Scheifele. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that are doing nothing and have done nothing all season long, but you wonder how much that is wearing on some of those players. And I'm not sure how many people caught 32 Thoughts this morning. Friedge and Bukauskas would have recorded that last night after all the games. And, people are noticing. I mean, Kyle Bukauskas talked about, some of the ugly body language that's coming in right now. And, listen, this is really taking a toll on, on everybody. And I can tell you, walking out of the building last night, I mean, God bless some of the people that, were still very, very upbeat. But, a lot of fans I know that are there, that are, having season tickets and packages that are there. I mean, they're still behind the team. I mean, they're not bailing, but they're, wondering what the hell it is going to take to go out and finish a game, to play a 60-minute game, the way we know this team is capable of, or at least have been in the past, although I guess it is a little different. Adam Lowry spoke earlier today. Remo, if you want to cue up number 5. Lowry and Dylan DeMello did some availability today, kind of after sleeping this thing off. And I think when you want to get, a real insight into the team, you go to the guy with the C on his chest, and that's Adam Lowry. Here's what Lowry had to say this morning about just the state of his hockey team right now.
I mean, we have the resources available. I think guys have their own. I think it's more just the collective. We look at the start of the game, even in Vegas, we've had leads, we've been playing well, and then, it's when you haven't seen a positive result in so long, you want to do all the right things. You want to protect that lead so much that, it pulls us out of our structure. We almost went into like a 1-4, and like these uncharacteristic mental mistakes or things that, you're almost trying so hard not to be the reason why you lose that, you give the other team so much time, so much space. You stop doing the things that we were doing earlier in the game to create zone time, stay above their rush game and, not allow them as much zone time as we did in the third. So you can say it's, a mental hurdle or whatever it is. But, I think when I look at, how we need to play, obviously it's 3 full periods, but, in the first 2 periods, I feel like we were attacking them, we were getting on their D, we were forcing them to move the puck quickly, and then, whatever the reason is, you want to win so bad, you almost come off of it, you change your game, and, the margin for victory is so slim in this, especially with the way, we've been playing that, you can't all of a sudden change, how you approach it, regardless of the time in the game or the score in the game.
All right, there's the captain, Adam Lowry. Feeling for him right now. He's got a lot on his shoulders right now, and he's a guy that you can count on strong efforts night in and night out. And listen, for a good portion of the game, they got that from the club. It's just the fall off is stunning, and the fact that it was so similar to what we saw in the 10th loss in a row of this streak is a thing that I think really resonated with people leaving the building tonight. We got a little bit more from Arneal. We've got a clip from Darren Drager on Luke Shen, which I want to touch on. Dennis Bernstein coming up in about 10 minutes. Do want to thank our friends at Uptown Alley. Maybe you just need to get away from hockey for a little bit. Maybe you need to go and have a little fun and not think about your hockey team that may or not be driving you nuts like now. I think you know where I'm at right now with all of that. Uptown Alley is a heck of a great place to just go have an awesome time with friends and family out at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, an amazing arcade, fun games where you win tickets to exchange for prizes that you can take home. and amazing food and beverage all waiting for you. Unbelievable spot for birthday parties for kids, teens, or adults, and an awesome place to host group and corporate events where you simply pick what your activities are, what you want to eat, any add-ons, and the wonderful event staff at Uptown will take care of everything else. They've also got a great bowl and play special after 9 p.m. every day, $20.49 for 90 minutes of bowling and a $10 arcade card. Find out more at uptownalley.ca or give them a call to book an event, 488-0000. It is a new year, folks, and many of you may be on the move in 2026. If you are moving, lean on our friends at Rolly's Transfer to help you out. They are the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba, family-owned and operated for over 60 years. Check out their website over at rollies.com for all their services and history, and hit that request an estimate button and let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to be moved. And the friendly staff at Rollies will be more than happy to get you quickly turned around with a great quote and locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. Don't forget to use the promo code WST when you do that as well. For all your moving needs, make it Rollies. Find out more today at rollies.com. I won't make a joke that watching the team is like going to the dentist right now, but if you do need to go to the dentist, or maybe you've been neglecting going over the course of the last little while, it is a new year. Get in the chair, get that taken care of so you don't have many appointments down the road. Our pal Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff at St. Vital Dental Center have been serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans. So if you're looking for a great long-term home for you and your family as well, make it St. Vital Dental Center. They got a beautiful new spot at 167 St. Anne's Road with state-of-the-art equipment and convenient free parking right behind the building, and a full array of dental services for customers and clients from 6 months to 99 plus. They do it all at St. Vital Dental. I know they'll all be fired up for the marble race this afternoon. Find out more and make an appointment online at stvitaldental.ca. And hey, there was more than a couple of fans, I think, that went home and poured a stiff one last night after the game. If you're going to do that, you may as well make it the good stuff. Canada's iconic Canadian whiskey, Canadian Club. Of course, the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And while you're at it, if you're popping by your local beer store, LC, make sure to keep your eye out for that amazing Canadian Club Cranberry Ginger Ale, which was a limited edition for the holidays, still a little bit around, and was so popular. I have a feeling that might be a mainstay, available 12 months a year. But get your hands on it while it is around. The delicious Canadian Club Cranberry Ginger Ale from our friends at Canadian Club, available at liquor marts and beer stores throughout the city. All right, I want to get to this Dreger clip in a minute, but just a little bit more from our Scott Arneal today. Maybe a little bit of a different tone, but still a big black cloud hanging over that locker room right now. This is 8, Remo. This is Scott Arneal. And is there anything he can do right now to try to get a different result and end this streak and move forward?
Probably the biggest thing for me is that in the last few games, it looks like now we're afraid to make a mistake. Like that we're going to, it's going to be me that creates this next chance. And it's when you play free and you play kind of, you recognize that, you're in an attack kind of mode and you don't sit back. That's when kind of you're playing on your toes and things are happening correctly. It just seems that those last 2 games specifically, it just felt like we just started to back up and we just started to not want to make a mistake. That's the worst way you can play.
Is there any kind of way you can communicate? Forget about. No, hang on for a second. I just want to finish the question.
Yeah, sorry.
Just in terms of don't be afraid to be the reason we lose. Be positive. You're the reason we win. Is there any way to?
That's what I was going to say. Is it that it was said last night? It was said the other night. I mean, the guys were saying it on the bench. I said it between periods. But it's one thing to say it, another thing to do it. We're in a kind of fragile ice situation right now where everybody's expecting the worst to happen, and it is happening. So we got to just that mindset. You guys asked me about the mental side of things. Like those are all part of those moments where you have to, get over it, find a way to be stronger than that situation. And we're talking about it. I hear the bench talking about it. Attack, stay on our toes, but it's not registering.
All right, so there's the coach not registering, which is not something that you want your head coach to be saying. Here's a little bit more just on that same topic on the coaches, the leaders. I mean, what can be done to turn this around?
Oh, sorry, that was combined. These two.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, that was the two of them there. Sorry.
Well, I got you. Okay, cool. Here,
go to 9.
This is just the other one from Arnie on. Listen, the defensive structure for the last 2 years has been the backbone of this team, and it has been lost more often than not this year. Here's the head coach on getting back to their defensive structure.
Yeah, that's part of it too. We've been playing some good hockey, and we've been playing some really good defensive hockey. And then there's moments that happen. And again, there was some situations last night. That game was more, especially when 29 and 97 got together. They turned it up a notch, and obviously they were pretty tough to defend. And but at the end of the day, if you think that you can play at a just trade chance game, that doesn't work in this league. And our defending is what we've talked about. We've had some really good games in this last 20, a lot of games where we were good without the puck, but not scoring. And now we're in a kind of scenario where if we're getting goals, we also have to make sure we also defend. I said to you before, it's sort of a tale of two tapes there. If you push for offense, you open up something else the other way, and then vice versa. So we got to find that happy medium.
Or maybe a slightly different tone from the head coach this morning than yesterday, but listen, there's still it still seems pretty raw right now, and the fact that they're going right back at it tonight, I mean, I kind of said, maybe that's a good thing. The problem is that we've been saying similar things for the better part of the last month, and just another example of how this is wearing on everybody in the organization, but especially in that locker room.
For periods at a time, like it did in the game last night, where they went a full period, almost an hour of real time without a shot on goal. And in that time, Edmonton put up 18 shots and 3 goals and took the lead and all of these things. Like Arneal was asked by Kelly Moore right there, what can you do to communicate to these players that you're the reason that we're supposed to be winning games, not the reason why we're losing games. And he just, all he can really do right now in terms of communication to the players is keep trying to tell them that they'll eventually get through this and rely on their veteran leadership, like all the players are saying. And that's really the only way out of this, Huss, because it doesn't look like there are any moves coming in the very near future here.
Yeah, well, speaking of moves, we got a little clip from Dreger that we're going to play for you in a few minutes, but we're going to just step away from the aftermath of last night and the big picture and focus in on tonight and the Los Angeles Kings, as well as some of the stories in and around the league. Let's pivot and welcome in our good friend Dennis Bernstein of the Fourth Period. And DB, it is a pleasure to talk to you as always. As you can imagine, it has not been a very happy new year in and around the peg right now. I mean, you follow the entire National Hockey League. I mean, what? How stunned are you to see how far the Winnipeg Jets have fallen after such a great season last year and high hopes going into this one?
So what kind of world do we live in when the Sabres have won 10 of 11 and the Jets have lost 11 straight?
It's
this is a crazy season. It's upside down. I have an affinity for Winnipeg. It's inexplicable, to be honest with you. They shouldn't have. And last night was another brutal loss. Up 3-1, you think they can find a way, and they can't find a way. Team can't find a way to win. It's simple as that. When they need a play, when they need a goal, when they need a save, they can't get one. It's not unusual for teams that go through winning streaks it's unusual for this team. So, and I'm sure Scott Arneal scratched his head trying to get some answers. And I'll tell you one thing, though. The Kings lose tonight and go into Edmonton tomorrow with that media. Whoa. Look out, Jim Hiller.
Yeah, well, I mean, fill us in on where the Kings are at right now. I mean, I think we've all had the blinders on. I mean, we're not worried or talking about anyone else's struggles because no one's struggling more than the Winnipeg Jets right now.
Right.
Where are the Kings at as we get ready to drop the puck tonight?
Well, they're showing signs after the holiday break because they beat Anaheim pretty convincingly. But have you watched Anaheim play lately? Like, me and you defend better than the Anaheim Ducks do. I think they've given up 40 goals in their last 8 games. They won that game. They were competitive against Colorado, and Colorado's angry now because they lost 2 in a row. You saw what happened last night. They blew a game to Tampa late. They won back-to-back games against Minnesota where you saw, okay, this team's finally showing signs. They won games. And then up by a goal with a minute left, Macklin Celebrini takes over, ties the game, wins it in overtime. They're on the precipice right now. This is a critical stretch for the Kings because they play Winnipeg tonight, who's going to be really desperate. They play an Edmonton team that always seems to beat them, and then they go home and play Dallas and Vegas. If people want to stay around, they better start winning games. They're 15 points behind the pace. They can't seem to score goals. They're all banged up. No Kopitar, no Armia, no Trevor Moore. Right, it's a difficult time for this team that has regressed. So it's not as bad as Winnipeg, and I think the one thing that's keeping this team afloat is the except for the 3 in the Central, top 3, it's a dog's breakfast in the West. There's no good teams. Seattle might win the division. No disrespect. Well, maybe it is disrespect to Seattle, but this is not a very good team right now.
Well, the Pacific Division overall is, it's not even close to the others. I mean, you look at what's happened in the Central, and there's sort of the 3 elite teams, which might be the 3 best teams in the league, and then a gap in everybody else. But, I mean, we were talking about, take the Buffalo Sabres, for instance. You mentioned what Buffalo's been doing. With their win last night, they got into a wild card. They're now the second wild card. They've got 50 points. 50 points get you first place in the Pacific right now.
It's crazy, Hustler. It's a crazy season. It's a season unlike any. And to be honest, as bad as it is, how many teams are out of it? 1? Calgary, maybe? 31 teams are in it. And here's the thing. We love the trade deadline. Who's making a trade? Who's selling? 1 team. Well, Conroy's probably sitting there all happy and stuff because everybody else thinks they can make a playoff spot.
I can tell you,
crazy.
If you're talking to everyone in our chat, and I think I would include myself in this, add another team in there that is thinking on less.
Really?
Wow,
you waved a white flag already?
Listen, and the organization won't do it, and Kevin Cheveldayoff didn't do it this week, and I wasn't expecting him to say, "Well, we're on the next season and doing all that," but. This is the reality that we're in right now. I mean, you're 32nd out of 32 teams. You are 11 points out of a wild card spot. There's 7 teams above you. And who knows, Dennis? If you want to put the glass half full, or at least there's something in the cup, you can say this is a miserable season that no one saw coming. They still have a really strong core of signed players for the future.
Yes, they do.
And maybe this is a really unfortunate, painful season. But if you end up with the top 3 pick in the draft, maybe you can get a franchise-changing player that can be a huge part of moving forward. And, listen, there's got to be some big-time changes to the roster, but the mainstays and the core is still there that certainly is capable of you winning games. But we said 10 games ago they needed to go on a big heater if they wanted to legitimately be in the playoff race, and they haven't won a game since. So I hate to tell you, but I hate to admit it, but I think as you and Dave and the boys start putting up more trade bait boards and talking about these teams, I think that the Winnipeg Jets are going to be in that seller category. How could they not
be? But check it out. The next 3 home games are winnable games. Kings, Devils, Islanders. Kings and Devils, Islanders, they're banged up. Horvat's not playing. Why don't they win 3 in a row? And like Chicago was out of it. They won 5 straight. I agree with you. It's a very unfortunate season, and you really have to look at the big picture. I think Chevy's smart in saying, not saying it yet. Because I don't know if they won 4 straight. I mean, the rest behind those 3 games are more difficult games.
The problem thing is, you know what the worst case scenario for this hockey team is to win those 3 games, lose 1, win another 3, lose a couple, and
stay close enough.
Play some respectable hockey and be picking 13th or 14th because they're out in the playoffs.
Which is the worst you can do. Mediocrity in this league, you're stuck in mediocrity. So, either go straight up or straight down. But, the regression on this team. I talked about regression in Los Angeles. It doesn't compare to how it's regressed in Winnipeg.
Hey, just stepping away from the Jets for a minute.
Sure.
What did you make of this business out of Ottawa yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Like, to fill people up, I mean, a pretty salacious internet rumor that was put out that I'm sure some people saw, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the internet. And then about an hour later, Steve Staios is putting out a firmly worded statement from the Senators, talking about lowlifes and trolls on the internet and saying they stand behind their players. And then they go out and get pumped 8-2. They signed James Reimer, who obviously Linus Ullmark is the kind of key player in these things that are going on. And I can't remember a scenario like this. There's always been a lot of crazy bullshit that people say on the internet.
Of course,
it's never been given that sort of attention, I guess, by a team. Why do you think they did that, and what do you know about what's up in Ottawa?
It's an inexperienced GM. I was shocked to see that statement. You know what you should do when that innuendo comes out? You ignore it. You do the opposite of what they did. Now, they signed James Reimer, so what does that tell you? Linus Ullmark is not playing for this team anymore. He's done. Now, you think there's trouble in the room? I know it's Colorado, and I know they were angry because they, God forbid, lost 2 in a row, Hustler. But 8-2, what's going on in the room? You know it's bad, and they have to fix it, and it's bad. So while people infer, like, oh, this really didn't happen, I'm shocked that Steve Staios would put out a statement like that. You ignore that stuff. Like, so he ignores trade rumors, but responds to this rumor? I don't know. It's bad, and it's misguided. I would have if I was the GM of that team, I'd ignore it, wouldn't comment on it. I'd move on. We're trying to win games. Well, he did the exact opposite of what I would have done.
Well, it's sort of a mystery. I mean, they've said Ullmark's away from the team for personal reasons, which happens every year. There's some guys that leave teams for personal reasons, and it's sort of thought of that. But usually guys come back. You think that this is done with Ullmark in Ottawa?
Yeah, I think he's done. I think he's done. And, I'll go back to LA for a second. Imagine what kind of spot LA would be in. Because if you go back to when Dubois was traded away, the first trade was Ullmark for Dubois, and he turned down going to LA. Imagine they had Ullmark instead of Darcy Kemper. We'd be talking about them in, I think, the same vein as we're talking about the Jets this year. So it's, but I think there's a lot of trouble there, and I think it revolves around one person, and it's unfortunate. But I will say this: the same people like that want to jump to conclusions, right? When Corey Perry was designated non-roster the other day, people jumped to a lot of conclusions. And what came out? He's home with a sick mother. So please, stop.
We got the Kings and Jets here tonight. The New Jersey Devils are here on Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
One of the more bizarre games in recent NHL history earlier this week. They outshoot the Islanders 44-24.
Yeah.
And lose 9-0. Keith leaves Markstrom in for all 9 goals. Ironically, with Patrick Roy
right,
on the bench
on
of the
bench,
Islanders right now. How big of a mess is this Devils situation coming into the Peg on the weekend?
Very big. And here's the problem, Hustler. If you want to, there are guys that are underachieving, obviously. There are 13 players on the Devils roster with some sort of trade protection. That's on Fitzgerald. That's a terrible job. 13. I've never heard that number before. You want to try to move players? Maybe. You have to probably overpay. He's in a fix right here. And here's the thing. I picked them to go to the Cup final. I thought they had a healthy Jack. That obviously the thing with Chicago wasn't good. They can't get a save. Markstrom's not the same. Their defense isn't there. But now if you're going to try to change the team, Tom Fitzgerald, how are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Like, is Dougie Hampton going to want to move? He's not going to want to go to Toronto, I'll tell you that much. But here's the thing about those shots. Money Puck and the deserve to win meter. It was 72% for the Devils. 9-0. You probably don't deserve to win the game, right? So I think shots on goal can be a little bit misleading, but I think it's a mess there for a different reason. Because if you want to try to change the core of this team, it's going to be a much harder job given all that no trade protection.
Well, and ironically enough, I mean, we've been hearing for years, and Devils fans will tell you online, Quinn Hughes is coming to us for nothing when his contract is over. I mean, it sounds like that Quinn Hughes sweepstakes was one of the things that have sort of really shaken this up, and that I heard Elliott today on 32 Thoughts saying that, they were talking to players about waiving no trades and things like that. And once you get into that and guys like, hey, we're trying to trade you, and they exercise their right, it can really take the balance out of the ship.
Yeah, it can, and it affects the guys in the room because they're looking around. What's next? Who's next? Who's going to go? The worst thing you can have in a room, Hustler, is uncertainty. Like, you got to be certain. So Fitz got to walk in the room saying, you know what? I believe in this core. We're sticking together. I'm going to try to add or whatever. Right? The uncertainty is the worst thing, I think, for players in this league. Guys even with guaranteed contracts, because some guys like playing New Jersey. It's not New York, and it's not the media attention's in there that the Rangers are going through right now with their struggles. So yeah, it's not mystifying, but it's a team that has had a lot of injury bad luck. Hustler, number one. And number two, it's just guys who have underachieved, and they may have to move on from it, but it's going to be difficult, and they're going to have to probably pay a higher price than they would normally would if they didn't have that no trade protection.
Dennis Bernstein's with us from the fourth period. Kings and Jets tonight. Of course, you can hear Dennis with the fellas on Sirius XM NHL radio on the weekend as well. Back to the West for a minute, into California. Yeah. Where do you make of what do you make of the San Jose Sharks, and how realistic are they as a playoff team right now? I mean, they're in the first wild card spot right now. They've got a brilliant young superstar in Macklin Celebrini, a roster that probably doesn't really look maybe playoff ready. But then when you look at the other teams that they're competing with right now, you'd probably say they've got as good a chance as any.
Yeah, the state of the West is propping them up with respect to their wild card hopes, right? And remember, they beat the Kings the other night, and Will Smith didn't play. So Mike Grier's done a great job getting talent up front. What they need to address is their defense, right? I think that's it. They're ahead of schedule because of the state of the Pacific. So in a normal year, I don't think they'd be a playoff team. I agree with you. This year, who knows? Look at the Ducks. They've regressed. So could they get there? They could. They absolutely could get there. It would be great to see. And for the first time in a very long time, Hustler, in LA, there were a lot of Sharks fans in the building on Wednesday night. I was shocked. A lot of people. Celebrini, and to a lesser extent, Smith, he's galvanized the fan base. People coming back to the building now. When they play Ottawa on Tuesday night, it's not going to be filled. But there's excitement in the Bay Area, and this kid is incredible. Like, you know what? When it gets down to a minute left in the game, greatness, those guys grab onto it and they do it. He scored the tying goal, set up the game winner. He's an incredible talent. 19. Gosh, he's the third leading scorer in the league. Come on, this doesn't happen. This is Haley's Comet. It happens once every 20 years. This is a generational talent. So he's carrying them. I think they'll probably be on the outside looking in come April, but it's a really good sign. If Mike Rear can bulk up that defense, because they have the goaltender Askarov and Nedeljkovic is playing well, they're going to be trouble in the next couple of years.
If the San Jose Sharks make the playoffs and Celebrini stays where he is as NHL scoring, what are the chances he wins the Hart Trophy?
The leading score is a plus 50. No, 50. That's Bobby Orr stuff that McKinnon's doing up there. Okay, he could be a plus 100. Second, but I don't think. Look, I think they should take that. They should take the foot off the gas here. No, Nathan McKinnon's the MVP. He'll be a finalist, possible without question. I think so. Like him, McDavid.
I think he's a finalist even if they don't make the playoffs, to be honest.
I would. He's going to be in my ballot, so I think McKinnon, McDavid, and Celebrini would be the three finalists. But it's great to see, and that's why this game is in such a good spot, because we got these kids coming. It's marvelous to see. I think he's even surprised some people, because people know he's really, really good. But this level of greatness at this point, it's something rare.
Hey, well, I will say this, and I've said this to a few friends, just as we, go over everything that's happening with our team here in Winnipeg, that if you're going to have a miserable season like this is maybe the year to have it, because we've got the Olympics to look forward to, and you got this big Olympic break, and then you come back and it's the deadline, and you're rolling through.
Yep.
Again, just trying to find any positives in and around what's happening right now. But as far as the Olympics go, bunch of representatives went over this week. What are you hearing on preparations for the Olympic Games, this rink, and all the issues that the NHL and the PA have been concerned about as the Italians try to finally get their act together and their buildings finished before hosting the World?
I just worry about safety, Hustler. Is it going to be safe? And did you look at that neutral zone? It's real narrow. I don't know about the specifications of who drew up those specifications. And I made a joke. I said, usually they put out standing room only tickets. I heard it's going to be only standing room tickets. So we'll see about the arena. I'm not sure about the arena, but I think all kidding aside, you got to make sure it's safe for the players. Because what's the one thing we don't want coming out of the Olympics? Injuries. And the ice is dangerous. Look, I assume they're going to go, but I got to. If I'm the NHL and Gary Bettman and Bill Daly, I'm making sure that it's safe for my players. If it's not, there may be ramifications. You may have to move the game to some other place. And I think it's too late to do that. I think that final test coming up is going to be a key test. But that's the only thing I'm really concerned about. I don't care about the fan experience. I more care about the safety of the players.
Yeah, I mean, the world to be watching the games on TV. I mean, to be honest, I said this earlier, I wouldn't care if you brought them all out and played on an outdoor rink here in Winnipeg. Yeah. Right. We want best on best. The level of disaster, not saying that this is going to happen, but if they had to pull out again and we didn't get best on best after getting the Four Nations last year would be such a blow to hockey fans. And I think really the sport in the NHL. So it is all systems go, but you just have to have your fingers crossed that it will be a smooth operation once they finally get there and things are ready to go. What's coming up on the show on the weekend, DB?
Let's see. We got Chris Armstrong, the president of the Utah Mammoth, talking about the Winter Classic, their run to the playoffs as well. And we're going to talk to Deandra Lou, who's down in Tampa, 8 straight. And I'll say this: John Cooper needs to win the Jack Adams. I don't care if they think it's a lifetime achievement award. Like Darren Radish, come on, really? I know they got some great players. They're playing without Hedman, and we're gonna probably get Brian Metzer to talk about the miracle Pittsburgh Penguins, who are on a heater as well. So what a crazy season. So I think it's great. It's not great for the people in Winnipeg, obviously, but it's been a real crazy season. So that's coming up on Hot Soap tomorrow.
Well, listen, I always love jumping on with you guys, but I would like to personally thank you for not reaching out to have me on this week to talk about what's happening with the Winnipeg Jets.
I love you too much to do that.
We're friends. We're friends. Thank you.
Absolutely, Hustler.
It's tough enough getting through these shows every day in the afternoon here in the Peg. Hey, Dennis, enjoy this one tonight. All the best, my friend, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks for your time as always.
Always great being on WST, Hustler. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Great stuff. All right, Hammer's going to come up in a few minutes with us. Before we do that, let me give a big thanks to our friends at Princess Auto for their support of Winnipeg Sports Talk for so long. I mean, Princess Auto is synonymous with Winnipeg, headquartered here, founded right here in Winnipeg, and now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start some new ones for 2026. Waiting for you at Princess Auto. You can see them in person on Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, or the Brandon location. And of course, you can also get those ideas flowing and shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Had a good time yesterday putting together that Chud's Power Sports Power Poll for the good people at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli, Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore. We were just talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are now number 2. No one's touching number 1 for the foreseeable future with what the Avalanche have done so far. But the Lightning are playing some of the best hockey in the league right now. But our friends at Chud's Power Sports are ready to bring the new year in with incredible adventures. The Snowmobile season is on, folks, and our friends at Chud's Power Sports have unbeatable start of the year deals on Arctic Cat and Polaris sleds. But there is so much more. You can own the winter landscape with machines built to dominate snow, ice, and frozen terrain with the top brands like Argo, Sasquatch, Evolution, Roxor, Suzuki, and of course, Arctic Cat and Polaris with ATVs, side-by-sides, and commercial XTVs. And listen, some of you are already thinking, now that we're into the new year, about summer. Boats and outboards, RVs, motorcycles, dirt bikes as well. And don't forget their great selection of fish houses for those of you that want to get onto the lake with ice fishing season just about here. Chud's Power Sports has it all. Over 80 years in the business, the best and most trusted staff in Manitoba. They've been doing it for years to help you get the best deal and make the best purchase. That's why they've been around for 80 years and still kicking. Corner of Highway 8 and 231. Our friends at Chud's Power Sports. Check them out online at chudspowersports.com. We will have our pre-playoffs NFL Power Poll for Chud's Power Sports a little bit later on in the program. And hey, a big Happy New Year to our friends over at Manitoba Battery. We've got a beautiful week of weather, and we will certainly take it. But folks, January and February, you know what to expect around these parts. You better make sure your battery's good to go for the rest of the year. And while we'll be doing batteries from Manitoba Battery for obviously power sports, I mean, you want to get your sled battery, Donnie's got you covered. But make sure that car and truck battery is ready to make it through the winter. Free battery testing at your local Manitoba Battery on Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive. And if you need a new one, you'll get the best price in town, period. Beating the pants off the big box stores with the best deals and the best customer service when it comes to batteries, all while shopping and supporting local. Pop by and see them at one of their 2 Winnipeg locations or shop online today over at manitobabattery.com. Remo, it's funny to talk to Dennis about and get the reaction of some people, what people are saying and thinking about the Winnipeg Jets. I think the rest of the league is as shocked as everyone in Winnipeg is that, we are where we are right now. But as I mentioned last year, I think the Jets sort of dodged a bit of a bullet with that New Year's Day game in Toronto. With it being right after New Year's, a back-to-back. I mean, the story sort of flew a little bit under the radar, but as of this week, now that it's back to normal into the new year, it doesn't matter whether you're on DFO or Spittin' Chicklets or 32 Thoughts. It seems like this Winnipeg Jet story and just how badly things have gone is now one of the top stories in the National Hockey League after being the top story in Winnipeg for 2 months.
Yeah, they were the President's Trophy winners last year, and now they are dead last in the NHL, and they're not even intentionally tanking like, you've seen Buffalo, Toronto, Chicago do. So it's almost unbelievable that they are where they are. And you look at their record in 1-goal games. Connor mentioned they set a record for losses in one-goal games in a row. The record in this losing streak, 11 games. The record in the last 30 games where they have 6. I got it all down here. What is it? I don't know. It's all bad. I'll just say all bad. Us blowing leads. They can't score. They've lost 6 wins in the last 30 games. You go for a whole season. This is like all-time bad here. And as you mentioned, it's not even injuries. The Hellebuck injury didn't help. Wasn't great. Comrie, wasn't at his best, and I don't think the team gave him a lot of help. And we'll see what goes. We still got a half a season here, and you've lost 11. Or I think, I told you last week when you came back, I'm like, well, I think they win Friday against LA. And Kopitar not in the lineup. This would have been his last game in Winnipeg. That happened earlier this year now. And he's always feasted on the Jets. But they're in a spot here, the second game of a back-to-back to win. But can they play a full 60? Can they hang on to a lead? Can they get shots on goal? Pickard was looking shaky on those 2, and they couldn't even get any shots in the second and third. They made it easy on him. I'm curious how they bounce back here after yesterday.
I had an Oilers fan sitting next to me at the game and thought that, Pickard probably wouldn't even come out for the second period. And it took basically until late in the third to remember that he was even in the game because the Jets had nothing on him. By the way, thanks to Tony B for the nice comment. Thanks, WST, for still producing a quality show, even when we're in a horrible losing streak. Always here for you, Tony. Win or lose, appreciate your support. Let's talk a little more about the latest with Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press. It is hammer time on WST. Perfect for a Friday. What's going on, pal? How are you?
TGIF, my friend. TGIF. I think those, if you're in Jets land, I think you gotta grasp at the small victories, right? Made it to the end of a week in an otherwise disappointing run for the local professional hockey team. But us, I think the question is it going to get better or is it potentially going to get worse? I mean, it feels like we're watching the same movie over and over again.
That is a great question. And if you'd asked me that 2-3 games ago, I would have said, well, it's going to get better. There's no way it could get worse. And then, you look at these last couple games, with the way that they are losing, literally carbon copies of each other. Good starts, early leads, 2-goal leads. And then doing the same things that have cost them so gravely. And we and the reason why I say getting worse, listen, all losses are 0 points in the standings. You can sugarcoat, we played better in this game, we were terrible this game, whatever. There's still losses. But I think what we're noticing right now from the coaching staff, from a number of the players, is that the toll of this losing is starting to show a little bit more. I mean, we played Neil Pionk's post-game interview earlier today, and listen, Scott Arneal, it was a combination of being dejected,
Andrew Pearson looked like he was angry. On the brink of emotion too in that post game.
Yeah, I mean all of it, and now, I mentioned this earlier on the program. Even the guys on 32 Thoughts talking about some very concerning body language, which, to be honest, I can't say I'm really surprised about. When you're in a situation that you are. I mean, as messy as it's been, the team for the most part, has been competing and they're coming out. It's not like they've quit, and I don't expect that to happen, and I'm certainly not suggesting that they are, but there is a real, and Pionk mentioned this, there's a real mental grip that this sort of a losing streak takes on a team and the individuals as well.
We've seen it before, right? The Jets haven't faced this kind of adversity for years, really, since we were talking about the locker room issues the last time around. I'm not saying there's locker room issues this time around. I would argue that the locker room is significantly better. Your point about the body language. I mean, I think the fear for the Jets ownership is apathy amongst the fans. I think a bigger fear when it comes to maybe not a bigger fear because that's dollars and cents, is when does that seep into the locker room? And I'm not trying to suggest that the players will be giving up. In fact, that's a really insulting thing to say. However, professional hockey players are realists, man. They know the situation there, right? They know that when they've been in those years where they've been leading the Central or fighting for first in the Central, they understand that the 32nd place team ain't catching up to them. They're not getting into the playoffs, and it's only a matter of time before this team's fate, if it hasn't already been sealed, is just that, right? So you got to wonder, what the moves are going to be in the future. You hear from, very interesting, you hear from insiders kind of poking out the Jets available people, and Logan Stanley, number 16 on the trade. Holy smokes. Imagine that tweet even a year ago, right? So,
well, and by the way, the Stanley thing on that CJ list, it was 16 because they're not sure if he's available.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
To be perfectly honest, if the word is out that Stan is available, I said this when I was talking to Ken early on before these reports out, I would suggest that Stan is the most attractive piece the Winnipeg Jets have right now of players that would realistically be traded. And I'm not suggesting they move him out. Many people would say, hey, the way the guy's actually coming to his own this year, this is a guy you'd want to sign and keep. I'm not disputing that maybe that's something that they would be talking about, but he's a UFA at the end of the year. There is a lot of stuff that at this point is out of their control. And just a quick funny note on Stanley. that shot that he had last night in the game was legitimately the loudest post clang I've ever heard. And if you saw the overhead shot of the goal, I probably didn't show this on TV, but if you're in the building, the net rattled. Like we joked, has anyone ever knocked the net off its moorings with a shot? Because it was pretty close last night. And, obviously he's done a lot to boost his value, I think, around the league right now.
For sure. And it wasn't a shot against Logan Stanley. It was just a showing of where we were and now where we are when it comes to this team, right? I mean, this is a guy that people wanted to be gone, and he's kind of been the rising, I'm not going to say star, don't want to create a fire over there, but he's been, shown some glimpses of good. So this is kind of it, Huss. I mean, I think the big question is, where do you go from here? Right? Because you do have half a season left. We know that the cupboards are, the prospect pool isn't great, right? Like nobody is dazzling like we saw Kyle Connor do, Adam Lowry in the past, Josh Morrissey. Like nobody is really showing that they belong up here. And at the same time, as you alluded to or mentioned, Huss, like the culture of losing, when you're losing that many games, when you're mired in an 11-game losing streak, you don't want to bring young guys up who are excited. And I thought, Kevin Cheveldayoff kind of addressed that in his mid-season presser. But I just think he said what he didn't say was you don't want to bring them into this chaos, right? Like the body language, the mood, right? Like coming up to the NHL should be the treat of a lifetime. Like imagine getting up to the NHL and being part of this. Like we've known that the prospect pool, the deeper players in the system have been unhappy here in Winnipeg before. These guys aren't coming up and being top 6 players necessarily. And so I don't think you really want to subject them to that. And that's a big problem in and of itself. So now when you talk about where do they go from here, you obviously have key points in the schedule, including, the trade deadline. So you keep hearing these like rumors that they're looking for a goal scorer. I mean, they're looking for a player with term for next season. You know what I mean? Like they're not mortgaging the future for this season to make a comeback. The players probably don't even want that at this point, right? Like, but at the same time, you got it. You also have to kind of show the group that you've sold, who have signed, Connor Hellebuck, Marc Scheifele, Kyle Connor, that you've sold, that the window is now. And when you're the 32nd team and there's literally 0 teams below you, how do you sell that dream? I don't think you can. So I think you are looking at the body language. And I think the issue here is, I think the fear for a lot of fans is that, much like a lot of seasons with the Winnipeg Jets, it's always kind of been like, well, if this kind of happened, maybe they could have worked out. Or, they lost in the playoffs to this team and they went on to win, or they went on to go to a deep run. So we're kind of right there. Like, how do you make that argument when you're the worst placed team in the league? You can't. And so, hands are tied here with management, not in an excuse situation, but it's like, you're on one hand, you're trying to please the players who you have in the locker room. And on the other hand, you got to improve the players you have in the locker room. And how do you do that on the fly when a lot of teams, man, like nobody's trading with the Winnipeg Jets. Nobody wants to be the worst place team, go to the worst place team in the league, right? We see now, and I'll mention it, it's based on like mental health and stuff like that. Guys don't just get shipped anymore. Right? Like guys don't just, usually those are conversations. And, I'm not saying that Winnipeg's a bad destination. I think Winnipeg's a good destination for hockey and community and all those things, but you're not selling that when you're the 32nd team in the league. I don't care if you're Winnipeg or any other of the 131 teams. Anyone that wants to go to the worst place team, that's probably an issue, or that's their hometown and they're at the end of their career.
I mean, the only selling point I could see for a younger player that's maybe stuck in a roster, like frankly, that was happening here in Winnipeg before.
You have to take someone else's problem.
Not necessarily problem, but I mean, a player, like we've heard it before. Like think about when Logan Stanley requested a trade a couple years ago. I mean, it was not the organization, not the city. It was the fact that he couldn't get in the lineup.
Absolutely, and that's why everyone looked at it like he didn't hate the Jets. He just wanted to play hockey.
But my point is that they're actually, for some players, if they're interested in taking a step forward in their career, and again, this is less about this season and more about the future, that there's some massive holes in this roster. And it could be there. Why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray was what's the biggest problem with the Jets right now? And we've had the poll up. Roster construction, 47%. Confidence is completely gone is 40%. Coaching/systems, 11%. And special teams, 2%. I mean, and listen, I think the roster construction, obviously, I mean, the players that they got, and this goes to...
Where was D all the above?
Jeff's point, well, there was not enough holes, not enough spots for the poll. And then, by the way, we've got another one for non-Autocorp right up now. Just thoughts on tonight's game. Will they finally win? Another close loss. It gets ugly, and no confidence either way. So throw that up in the chat. But Jeff, as far as trades go, my read on this after hearing what Chevy did and didn't say at the beginning of the bit, partly you mentioned just, bringing young players in right now. Have to admit, I felt kind of sorry for Danny Zhilkin last night. I mean, he came out, had, I thought, showed some real jump, was in the mix, was always in front of the net, was a bit of a pain in the ass when Tanner Pearson scored his goal. And then you go into the locker room after your first NHL game, and it is about as dark as it's been maybe since the team came back. I mean, there'd be some other contending times for sure. But it gets us to, that line, that leadership. Remo, if you want to maybe cue up that Drager clip for a minute, because I want to talk to Jeff about this, and we'll get to it. They made some plays for some guys that were going to come in and, kind of help take this team over the top with veteran leadership. And here's the latest from Darren Drager on the situation with the Jets and a certain name that's out there.
Yeah, I just want to say he was asked about the Leafs, like what they're going to do on D, and then he pivoted to the Jets. So here's Drager.
Okay, perfect.
Well, they're looking for a defenseman. I mean, that's been the case,
like an impact guy or like a depth
best
guy?
Available. No, I mean, there are depth pieces available. I mean, look at what the Winnipeg Jets are doing right now, right? I'm pretty sure if the Toronto Maple Leafs wanted to reunite Luke Shen, they'd get him for a lower-end draft pick. And I think that Luke is looking for a better opportunity, bigger role. I mean, we can appreciate given where he's at in his career. And I mean this very respectful of Luke because, okay, granted, he was never quick, but he's slower now. But, man, he's still a simple, smart defenseman, tough. He's got that personality and the presence in that room no matter how many minutes he's playing.
So there's dregs popping up with the name Luke Shen, and it was Dave Pagnotta earlier this week. This is a quote from him. As I reported earlier today, Luke Shen is open to a trade to a contender. Fairly early in the process, but something to keep tabs on between now and the trade deadline. I'll give Drew Mindell some credit for this, because I thought the exact same thing when I saw this. Publicly requesting to be the first off of a sinking ship is certainly a form of Stanley Cup caliber veteran leadership. And
went to Kevin Cheveldayoff and said, hey, man, this is a sinking ship. I want the heck out of here. If you listen to any of his interviews, he speaks glowingly about the Winnipeg Jets. I just think for a guy who spent 1,100 games in the NHL, knows the business, knows that he's an in-and-out guy, knows that he could be valuable to a leader. Look, they brought him in to bring leadership, to bring in depth. He doesn't need to offer them anything anymore. He's not going to be re-signed. He's not going to come back. As Drager alluded to, he's old and slow. He's just a good dude. So, do you need a good dude when you're the 32nd team? You don't.
No, listen, I agree.
Sounds like
and
common sense. He's a good dude, man.
He hasn't been helping the team. Hasn't been helping the team win hockey games. I can tell you that
for sure. Good dude, right?
But put it this way, with this to me, I don't know. I didn't take it.
But you didn't take it that way. So you took it as wanting to jump the ship.
The minute there's the minute Pagnotta is out there, I mean, that's usually coming from the agent. And I mean, we haven't heard the Jets shopping anybody.
I think Luke Shen talks to 100 reporters over his career. You know what I mean? Like, I bet you Luke Shen's given his cell phone number to 100 people, right? And someone, you're looking at the trade deadline, you're looking at the 32nd team, you say, hey, Luke, like, you know, are they shopping you? Are you interested? Like, you don't think those conversations are happening in Winnipeg? Like, there's no way that, like, Luke Shen isn't in a situation to demand trades. Like, he's happy to just get on a team. He's not telling Winnipeg he's out of here. Hell, Winnipeg might be his best bet to sign a 3 or 4 year extension. You know, like,
whoa.
Well, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like,
we all have eyes, Jeff.
Well, I'm just saying, man. I'm not saying it's likely. I said it would be his best chance amongst maybe the teams out there, just because he's here already. But like, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Huss. I seem to have hijacked what you're feeling.
Well, no, I mean,
are you
listen,
on my side now?
Well, not really. And listen, and again, maybe I'm just very pissed off and in a bad mood every time I'm thinking about these games. Because to be honest, and I mean, like, I don't want to nitpick because Luke has been a guy that when he speaks out, I listened to his post game after the Vegas game. And I took it as a guy that, and maybe this is just his experience because he's been through it all. He wasn't really wearing it like a lot of the other guys were.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
right? Like even a guy like Tanner Pearson yesterday talking after the game, and nothing against Tanner Pearson, but like, you've been here for a few months, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Jets just lost 11 games in a row. Like, I'm not trying to be criticized, like, why are we talking to this guy? But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, Huss, just swing and a miss, right? Swing and a miss. And to your not auto group power poll, Huss, I'll add a what would you call it? A symbolic vote, and I would put it at the top one with 47%. It's the roster construction. Like, a lot of these guys thought they were coming to a team that was in that winning window, and you know, a lot of these guys got like their last chance. I don't know, maybe it's their last chance, but obviously are far away on their back nine and thought they were entering a room. I think, you know, they probably know that they're not the regulars, right? They came in to complement the leadership group, the roster here that finished winning the President's Trophy. So they probably think like, okay, like I don't hate the guys here, but like, my days are numbered. People are telling me that I'm the reason why this team's losing. I ain't coming back here. I just got to smile and spend out the rest of these 41 games. Like that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I thought the same sort of thing, like when we were talking about Shovel Day Off. I mean, I know a lot of people wanted, you know, a scalp and to, you know, hey, like why is the team where they are? I mean, one of the very honest answers would be, well, you know, listen, we needed to fill some holes, and you know, we made bets on a number of players that we signed in the off season, and none of them have been overall really positive ads. I mean, when you compare to the team, I mean, that's the difference between this year's team that's 32nd in the league and last year's team that was first in the league. They lost a few good guys, and the guys that have come in haven't done that. And you know, I don't think Shovel Day Off, I think it would be quite damaging if he went and was that honest about it, because essentially you're backing up a bus over a bunch of players that are still in your locker room that still have to go out and play. Guys. And I mean, the other thing is that, and this is sort of how we find, like, there's a big delineation between before the Olympics and after the Olympics. And with this big homestand, the big month of January, and so many games, you know, I think publicly you say, hey, you know, we're not quitting, we're not putting the white towel in. I totally get that. But it was funny that their main focus right now is on scouting meetings and whatnot, both on a junior but also on a pro level for potential deals. And, you know, for me, like, I'm at peace with the fact that this team's not making the playoffs. And as much as, you know, it's tough to see them lose night after night, once you get past it and you look back, maybe it's a good thing, because, you know, one of the great things that could happen out of this is you get a franchise stud that can be part of, you know, a next generation of Winnipeg Jets for a long time. And very rarely do you get the opportunity to pick that high. And they're on the pace. They're on the track to having one of those high picks. And, you know, there's that short-term game. But for January...
Remember how that last one worked out?
What do you mean?
Jets won a lottery before.
Yeah, well, absolutely. The thing was, they won, if you recall, they won the last 5 or 6 games of the season after they shut down Brian Little and a couple other guys, I think unexpectedly. And then kind of karmically were rewarded for playing hard at the end and moved up to number 2. Bottom line is, if you finish last in the league, the worst you can do is pick third. Yeah. So this isn't about, hey, maybe we can get some puck luck if you're finishing 7th or 8th last. The fact of the matter is they've done the hard part to get to 32nd in the league with Scheifele and Connor and Hellebuck and Morrissey and these guys playing pretty much the entire year minus, the 3 weeks that Hellebuck was away. So, for the people that want changes and want tanking, why would you want to change? Look at what's happening right now with what they're throwing out. Now, this roster, as I say, after the Olympics, in and around the deadline, I think will be significantly different. And part of January is, and that's why it was, I guess, nice that Tanner Pearson scored a goal last night. If anybody, Nyquist didn't even play last night, but if any of those guys on expiring contracts that have come here in the offseason, maybe Taves is in a different category, could have any sort of a value, I think they would have been dealt already. So maybe there's a little bit of value resuscitation over this month on some of those players, and that can be a good thing. But once you get to the deadline, I think that, you're going to see some of the younger guys, get an opportunity, or just maybe more veteran players with the Moose that have earned it this year. Wasn't lost on anyone that it was Danny Zhilkin that got the call up this week, and not Lambert or Ford or Shibrikov or even Yeager or Barlow. Barlow scored a beauty last night for the Moose, by the way. And I think that having Danny Zhilkin come up, I love the move, even if it was caused by an injury to a defenseman, in that, if you play well, hopefully this can be something that can spark the young guys at the AHL level, knowing that if they can put themselves into a position to deserve to be called up, there probably is going to be a time this season right now where there's NHL games to be had for players right now playing at the AHL level in the organization.
Couple things, Huss. First off, it's a GM and coach's job to ride what is an extremely delicate line to motivating players. And that line differs throughout different players, personalities, roles, and all those things. But when it comes to getting the assignment for the Winnipeg Jets, it really comes down to 2 things. What do they need, right? What hole are they trying to fill? They're not going to bring up necessarily a top scorer if they need someone, in the bottom 6 or whatever. And who deserves it? Right? Who deserves that play? And when you look at the roster, Huss, everyone's been everywhere, right? They don't have this traditional top 6, bottom 6. Obviously there's players in the top 6 and there's certain players in the bottom 6, but it's kind of been all over the place, right? And so I think that kind of, maybe this assignment, and ignoring, the Barlows and the other prospects down there, maybe that's a message, right? I think everything's a message at this league. The other thing, Huss, is just, I'm going to address something you mentioned about, Kevin Shoveldayoff, in his address, direct me, and I'm obviously this is a joke, but direct me to the GM that admits to tanking, right? No GM is going to tell its fan base that. No GM, and I'm not suggesting that, Kevin Shoveldayoff was essentially hiding that or is maybe doing that behind closed doors, but reality hits pretty hard. And so and I think that was the part that, I don't know who's still hoping and wondering if this team's going to slowly climb its way up. I forget the exact tweet. And I hate doing this, but it's very, very difficult to make up 6 or 7 points in the standings, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not it's easy to do that. You can go on a good run and still be in the exact same position you're in, and maybe even a few points lower depending on how the other teams are doing. So it's going to be a tough thing. And I think that's, again, back to my earlier point, when you're juggling realities, Huss, and you're juggling promises, if you will, or commitments, if you will, to various stakeholders, you kind of have to let someone down if they're competing interests, right? And so I think you have to play that fine game, not just how or who you're going to choose or what you're going to choose, but when you're going to choose to do it. So it isn't an easy situation. That's why you get paid the big bucks to be the boss. But it's one of those things that whether you need to ride when you're talking to Kyle Connor and Marc Scheifele, or you need to ride while you're talking to ownership, or you need to ride when you're talking to media, you need to take all these things into consideration. And when you're losing to the degree that the Winnipeg Jets are losing, just smack on misery, right? Because now you're doing it all in a way that is just the worst. And so, that's not a give Kevin Cheveldayoff a break, but it is an acknowledgement of how difficult the job is ahead. And he's got a lot ahead of him here. And, I think we're pretty safe to assume he's going to continue running the show here, but a lot of fans want change. And whether that's at the roster, at the coaching, or at the managing level, something kind of needs to give. This isn't a, hey, fell out of the playoff picture, fought to the end, finished ninth. This was best team in the league to the worst team in the league. And that is something you can't sell to anybody, regardless of who you're talking to.
No, by the way, listen, I got Hacksaw's coming up. I got one more for you, but I'm just seeing Remis has just sent me a tweet from Chris Johnston. The first Olympic test event at this Santa Juliana Arena is being delayed because there's a giant hole in the ice. They've brought out a watering can to try to patch it. This sounds ugly. But listen, last question for you. Scott Arneal led this team to a President's Trophy banner last year, second round of the playoffs. It was, even up until recently, I haven't even thought for a second that they could possibly make some sort of a coaching change. But as this losing streak continues, could that happen? How bad would it have to get?
I'll tell you exactly how bad it needs to get.
Because it doesn't get much worse than this.
No, the bad it needs to get, Huss, is you need to tune out the coach. What happened with Claude Noel before? Marc Shipman didn't want to fire Claude Noel when he had to, right? He was essentially hired to be fired. All coaches are, but particularly one when you're taking over an expansion Winnipeg team from Atlanta. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the players tuning out Scott Arneal, and whether that's happened or not, I don't know. I'd like to think no, given what you just said, right?
Seems to happen in the middle of the game.
Well, yeah, totally,
they
right?
listen at the start, and then somehow things get short-circuited around 5 minutes into the second.
And it's a good point there. And I know you got Hacksaw coming up here, but that when you talk about the system, right? The players, like I mentioned before, they're realists. They know what the situation. They know if they're good enough. They know if they're not good enough. And we keep hearing that the system, if they just follow the blueprint, if they just stick to the system, and it's we know what it takes. Well, you're 40-something games into it, Huss. I think you've determined you can't do the system that you have. The system doesn't work. If what you're saying after every single game is a lack of commitment or discipline to the system, it's twofold. You either have players who just a year ago, bought in fully, they just can't do it, or they're looking at it and being we don't have the stock to do it. So we need to go on our own agenda. And that's who knows what that situation is. But again, something needs to give. If it's not personnel, if it's not players or management or whatever, maybe it needs to be system. Because you can't ask a group of players who, now again, 40-something games into a season have proven they cannot do this system, to ask them to do it every game and expect different results. We're watching the same movie, Huss. I don't need to remind you and listeners about the definition of insanity, but that's where we're at right now, because we're seeing it play out like a slow car accident.
I can tell you one thing. You always say, we're prepared for all contingencies. I guarantee the one thing that they never anticipated would they even be having to think about that for a minute. And listen, this streak is what it is, and they are where they are. And when that happens, as much as the organization, I think most of the players, the fans, have loved Scott Arneal. I do wonder at what point that becomes more of a topic. Listen, great conversation as always, pal. Thanks for doing this, and looking forward to a couple weeks to getting away. That'll keep me going through these next number of games.
The only thing that's keeping me on, my friend. That's keeping me going. I really appreciate it. Everyone have a great day. We'll talk to you next week. Having a wonderful weekend.
There's Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press. All right, we are going to pivot to football with the one and only Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. But let's quickly hit up the Clean Line lines for tonight's game. Clean Line lines brought to you by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical services. and the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets. Captain approved. Don't forget, Clean Line has your back 24/7, 365, 204-500-2000 whenever you need it. You can find them online at cleanline.ca. Arnie would not discuss the lineup for tonight. So we don't have locked-in lines. We did hear him say that Danny Zhilkin would be playing tonight, which will be great. You know, his parents got in late last night. They weren't able to be there for the game. Maybe they can get a win tonight for Danny, and he can kind of celebrate the NHL call-up with his parents on a much better route. But Connor Scheifele, Iafallo, Perfetti, Taze, Velarde, Barron, Lowry, Niederreiter, and Koepke, Zhilkin, Pearson. Morrissey and Pionk, Samberg, DeMello, Stanley, and Shen were the defense pairings. And, of course, Hellebuck and Comrie. I think it's likely that Comrie gets the start tonight on the second end of a back-to-back. And no word if Logan Stanley's going to be playing forward on the power play like he did for a little bit of a moment last night as well. Big thanks to Clean Line for their support of WST and, of course, the Winnipeg Jets. Just before we bring in Hacksaw, we're going to talk all about all these playoff games on the weekend. Looking for a great spot to get together with your gang to watch the NFL playoffs. Make it your local Boston Pizza. All the games on the big screen with big sound and, of course, ice-cold schooners, world-famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and more. Get together with your gang at BP, and if you are staying at home, you can always get the great taste of Boston Pizza by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. And hey, many of you might need to gear up for the playoffs. Fired up that your team is getting ready to compete for a Super Bowl. Royal Sports has the best in NFL merchandise waiting for you at 750 Pembina Highway. Also got the best in Jets and NHL merch, top to bottom, Blue Jays and Major League Baseball, Raptors NBA, Canada Soccer, and Canada Olympic gear as well at Royal Sports. Not to mention great deals throughout the weekend for the Welcome to 2026 sale. Get into Royal Sports this weekend before the sale is over. Check them out online, of course, at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. Royal Sports, the undisputed sports superstore in the Peg for over 50 years, 750 Pembina Highway. All right, it's Beer Friday, as Hacksaw always says. So before we bring him in, let's give a big cheers to Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, I'm always excited to talk to Hacksaw this week. Is even more so because we've got the playoffs, we've got 6 great wild card matchups, and we can get away from talking about hockey for a minute. Let's welcome him in, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Saw, what's up? Happy New Year. Hope you had a great holiday. How are you?
Hustler, good to see you back in the chair. Listen, what's going on in the NHL? It's kind of like a virus. You know, somebody gets the flu and it spreads. You got it in Winnipeg. You're facing the LA Kings. They got it. They've given it to the Anaheim Ducks. Nobody can score goals. The teams you cover, the teams that I'm covering, nobody is scoring goals. And you can't win in this league with one goaltender. And the Ducks are complicated because their goaltenders right now can't stop a beach ball, much less a hockey puck. So, yeah, it's been a rocky couple of weeks for those who cover in the NHL. And I know you guys are just feeling it really badly.
Yeah, I mean, this was so shocking, so unexpected, and has gotten so bad that, well, let's just say these wild card games are going to be a nice distraction for sports fans from what's happening with the club. Lee, we've got a great lineup of games, but first let's back up to Monday because it was a busy one. Some firings in the NFL that were expected, and a couple that were frankly shocking, particularly John Harbaugh, who, if his kicker had completed a field goal attempt as he had done every single time inside 50 yards, would be playing this weekend and yet he's on the unemployment line. Give us your takes on the coaching vacancies that came up this week.
Black Monday equals pink slips. That's the big issue. I was absolutely stunned at what happened in Baltimore with Harbaugh. But the longer you go on this, the deeper you dig, the more you find out. There were a lot of internal problems there in Baltimore. I was told that Steve Biscotti, he has two lines of communication. The phone on the left side of his desk is for his head coach, Harbaugh. The phone on the right side is for the general manager, Eric DaCosta. They both reported to Biscotti, but they don't report to each other, coach and general manager, which I find is kind of a strange setup. At the end of the day, I'm led to believe the general manager said, we need to make changes on this coaching staff. This message is stale. This is not working. That was the message delivered to Biscotti. Biscotti delivered it to Harbaugh. Harbaugh said, no, I'm not changing anybody. These are my guys. We're in the trenches together. At that point, the relationship just kind of flattened out, and the owner decided he had to make a change, despite the fact he loved the guy and despite the fact Harbaugh won 194 games, the Super Bowl, and 12 times in the playoffs and all that. This is a byproduct of a disconnect between Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, Lamar Jackson, Jackson's injuries, Jackson's inability to practice Wednesday, Thursdays of a whole bunch of weeks the second half of the season, the fact they had a mess of injuries in the defense, the fact that they blew double-digit leads 10 times this season. So this all falls on coaching, and Harbaugh was insistent, these are my guys. So that's why I think that is a summary as to why they reached the end of the road. And again, 18 years is a hell of a run. You never, ever see that in the National Football League unless it's a la Tom Landry. Now, it'll be intriguing to see which direction they go. It's going to be intriguing to see where Harbaugh wants to go, because Harbaugh will probably have his choice. But if he wants to be the decision maker, the power broker, that creates a problem for the new club he's going to, because most everybody wants to have a division of powers between the coach and the GM. So that was a shocker. I felt bad for Pete Carroll with the Raiders. I thought that was just a bum rush deal. That place is so dysfunctional. It's ungodly. They have a horrid roster. They have salary cap situations that have finally caught up to them. Bad drafts. This goes all the way back to the John Gruden era. Here's a stat for you, Hustler. Write this down. Do you know since 2002, under the leadership of Marc Davis, their composite record is 131 and 242. Think about that. Under Marc Davis. Marc Davis, you are not your father, Al Davis. If Al Davis could climb out of the casket, he'd go to Vegas and fire the sun. That thing is so dysfunctional. Now, that being said, Carroll made some mistakes on his coaching staff. I'm hearing horror stories about the offensive line, and his son was the offensive line coach with very little experience. So that's a mess. They got a Geno Smith contract issue there, but they do have 11 draft picks. They have $116 million in cap space. So it'll be incumbent now on Tom Brady and the second-year general manager, John Spytek, to make sure they get the right guy in there, and then they make the right choices. They need to select one of these quarterbacks at the top of the board, and Brady will have input there. They need to draft, offensive linemen. So there is a big mess there. Also felt bad for Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland because he was two-time coach of the year. He knows X's and O's. He's a really bright light. That thing is so screwed up because of the Deshaun Watson contract, the guaranteed money, all the draft picks they traded away to get him, and the injuries and the NFL suspension. I don't know if Shedeur Sanders can play quarterback in the league. It's a little bit too much freelance football for me. He turns the ball, turns the ball over a lot. But at the end of the day, you went the back half of this.
No problem.
You went the back half of the season with him. So I think you just have to see if he'll get better during the offseason and through the OTAs, and then just fast forward his progress and maybe go find another quarterback there. So I apologize. Those were the ones that I thought were unfair. The rest of the coaching changes, I think, were pretty much warranted because either teams had quit or the ownership is so dysfunctional. It's terrible in some places around the league.
Yeah, well, it was interesting to see that Mike McDaniel didn't get fired right away and then did. And as a Chiefs guy, like I'm done with Matt Nagy as the OC. I'm really hoping he gets the Tennessee job, which he's apparently interviewed for, and is high up on their list. And I got to tell you, knowing that Mike McDaniel is on the market, I would not mind to see him maybe bring his level of offense, his offensive playbook into Kansas City to work with the Chiefs offense. I'm not sure whether that change happens if Nagy doesn't get that job, but I think a lot of people are interested in all of that.
Let me throw at you that McDaniel, I believe, is interviewing this weekend in Detroit to be the offensive coordinator of the Lions. I also hear Kansas City has reestablished contact with Eric Bieniemy, so maybe Andy Reid's going to bring Bieniemy back.
Well, Bieniemy, listen, the offense was great under Bieniemy, first or second for 4 straight years to begin the Mahomes era, and they've just fallen off a cliff under Nagy. So, I mean, EB definitely has the pedigree. He's worked well with Andy Reid and Mahomes before. I'd be fine with that. But McDaniel, it really intrigues me. I think when he gets another opportunity to work with an offense, especially one with a number of weapons, I think it'll be pretty good. Lee, to the weekend, 6 games. Like the 2 pick'ems are just, such great matchups. The Bills in Jacksonville, been so impressed with what the Jags have done in the second half of the season. I think they really opened eyes when they went and smacked the Broncos around in Denver a few weeks ago. But man, it just feels like it's got to be Josh Allen's time, if not this year with no Mahomes, his boogeyman, no Lamar, no Burrow in the AFC. Will it ever happen? Man, there's a lot on his shoulders going into Jacksonville. And we got a wild one tomorrow night. Bears-Packers, 3rd matchup of the season. Great rivalry. Both of these games basically a pick 'em on the betting lines. Thoughts on those 2 ones that for most people's money could go either way?
Buffalo, who are the Bills? Aside from the 39 touchdowns of Josh Allen and aside of James Cox, 1,600 yards rushing, who are the Bills? Because sometimes they play well, sometimes they don't play well. Who are the Bills? They lost at Atlanta. They lost at Miami. They lost games by 1, 3, and 4. Their wide receivers are just so erratic. That's a problem point there. Now, I'm going to throw a little cold water on you about Jacksonville. Yes, they have won 8 in a row, and Liam Cohen has had a great impact on Trevor Lawrence. 7 of the teams that they have beaten are bottom dwellers. I mean, they've beaten Arizona, Tennessee twice, Indy twice, and the New York Jets, all recently since Thanksgiving. So even though this 8-game winning streak looks sexy, who have you beaten? Now, they're facing a really good Buffalo team. The fact that this game is in Jayville rather than on Niagara Frontier is going to be worth seeing. So this is a real litmus test, I think, for who Jacksonville really is. Because now when you get to postseason, you're playing real people. And these are really good teams. So Buffalo, Jayville is going to be a good game. Green Bay, Chicago, once upon a time, I think looked really sexy to me. But, Green Bay's is lost 4 in a row. Green Bay's lost virtually all their skill people around Jordan Love, and Jordan Love's coming off the concussion. That's a big issue. This is not the Green Bay team that was rocking and rolling through the first half of the season. And Chicago has got unbelievable firepower, but they need to gain a lot of yards, and they are under Caleb Williams in that new offense. But they have to gain it because their defense has given up so many yards. Their defense is not real good. So anything is possible, but Green Bay just doesn't have all the bullets in the gun. The minute Tyler Kraft, the tight end, went down, then Christian Watson kept getting hurt, and they have other wide receivers in and out of the lineup, just not the same team. So that game might be a pick-em, but Green Bay right now is not what Green Bay was.
Any thoughts on the other games quickly?
Yeah, real quickly. Houston's won 9 in a row. They're going to Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers statistically has had a pretty good season. He's gotten consistent and better, but Houston's defense is just amazing. They're on fire, 47 sacks, 29 takeaways. I don't know how the Steelers are going to put scoring drives on consistently on the field against Houston. Chargers, New England, what an unbelievable matchup. These 2 young gun quarterbacks, holy cow. Justin Herbert is Superman. He's got over 4,200 all-purpose yards. Drake May in New England, he's got 4,800 all-purpose yards and 35 touchdowns. That being said, New England hasn't played anybody this season. New England has 12 games against non-playoff teams that they've won this season. So the Chargers are going to give them some fits because Herbert can throw the football, but they can't protect the Charger quarterback. And the Patriot pass rush, I guarantee you, they're going to be sending blitzes from every direction under Mike Vrabel. Of course, the flip side is Vrabel is going to be sending a whole ton of people after Justin Herbert, so that's going to be a fascinating game. NFC, Rams, payback time. They lost 3 in a row on the road at the end of the season, which is really weird, and the whole thing started to skid in Carolina. I tell you, they're hitting on all cylinders right now. They are on fire on offense. Matthew Stafford's got 4,700 yards passing and 46 touchdowns. So I think they go in and destroy Carolina, which, by the way, is 8-9 in Carolina against playoff teams this year is 2-5. And they're in the playoffs, really. So I think the Rams rally back. And San Francisco, Philadelphia is going to be something. But a burning question for me, San Francisco, are you spent? Have you shot all your bullets? They've had a hell of a season with all these injuries. But I just think going to Philadelphia this time of the year with as many battered players as the Niners have, I think they're in trouble. And even though Philadelphia has been streaky, I still think Philadelphia's probably got a lot of gas left in the tank, and they'll be continuing to play next week when we move to the second and maybe even into the third round of the playoffs. So I think this is the final stop for Frisco. And what's been a good season, hard season, a grind of a season, but I think all the injuries from when they catch up to them.
Lee, you are. This was a gutsy playoff level performance by you. Obviously, a little under the weather, battling through a few coughs, coming up with one of our best segments of the year, the post regular season one before the playoffs get going. Get a little rest, get some some tea and honey in there. We'll look forward to talking to you next week because we'll be down to the final 8. And folks, in the meantime, make sure to check out LeeHacksawHamilton.com every single day for the best 15 minutes. Right now, it's busy. It might be more than 15. And, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel over at Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Enjoy the games this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for doing this.
I will have tea and lemon. I won't have a 1919 and a frosted glass this weekend. Great sports weekend to you. Thanks, Hustler. Enjoy all the NFL playoff games.
Right on, Saw. There we go. Gets going tomorrow afternoon. It was always the AFC South that dominated the Saturday afternoon game, but we've got an 8-9 division winner, the Carolina Panthers. They've got the Rams tomorrow afternoon, and then tomorrow night, Bears Packers. By the way, just we were talking with Hammer, and I brought up that kind of Luke Shen report. Connor's just sent this over. In the meantime, Pagnotta, I'm not sure what show he was on, but they're just quoting him. I guess he's on one of the show. David Pagnotta, Luke Shen Jets. He's open to a change of scenery. That's the light way of putting it. He's been a little bit frustrated with his ice time. He wants an opportunity to go after a championship again. Oh, he was on a show called Inside Sports. I mean, see, this is what I mean, Remo, kind of lobbying to get out of Winnipeg as a quote-unquote leader that was brought in for that veteran leadership. I mean, I guess I get it, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we were, well, I'm not going to say anything. And the guy obviously has a lot of fans in and around the league. He's played 1,100 games. But that might go down as one of the aggressive moves the Jets made in and around the deadline that was the most damaging to the franchise that we've seen. I mean, never mind the second round pick that could be 33rd, 34th, 35th next year. But the fact of the matter is that, I think he was exposed early on in his time in the playoffs for the Jets. And for a team we've talked about old and sort of a little bit behind the play, a little bit slow. I mean, you're basically describing Luke Shen right now. So, listen, if that is the case and a player like that you're sort of counting on to be a guy that, you can lean on through these tough times is angling for a way out, the sooner the better as far as I'm concerned.
I was giving him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't openly requesting a trade like Pagnotta. I don't know where he's getting this report that he's been frustrated with his ice time. It's not like the results have been
It's one of two
amazing.
places, the player or more likely the agent.
Yeah.
But that's still an extension of the player.
I was under the impression that they asked him, hey, would you be open to a change? And it's like, yeah, what's he going to say? He doesn't have a no trade clause, and he's going to go where his contract, whoever has it. So, but it sounds, so Pagnotta's reporting that he's not happy with how it's going with the Jets and would want to go after a championship. I guess anyone on a last place team would love an opportunity to go to a winner, but this trade did not work out great. And I remember when you made those trades last year for Tanev, for Shen, giving up multiple second-round picks. Would have been nice if they got someone who was more of an impact player than a third pair. I don't know if this is hindsight. This is going back to last season, Huss. So,
we're not going to relitigate the trade, just that we're here right now. He hasn't helped. I mean, I would make an argument that there are plenty of guys that should be playing ahead of him. You can be frustrated with your ice time the whole time when you're getting burned and the team's losing every night. I mean, sorry, that doesn't call for a promotion. I don't know. That's, and listen, I think the team, and this is the thing. I mean, Winnipeg, to their credit, tries to be absolutely first class in the way they treat their players. Let's not forget what the Jets did for Luke Shen last year. He came over, they gave him a game off. He got to go back and see his family. I mean, listen, these are all admirable things that the Winnipeg Jets did for Luke Shen after acquiring him. I'm not sure it's being paid back. I'll just leave it there. Last call for marbles, everybody. If you haven't got him in already, we'll get to that right away. We'll just we'll leave it there. We'll get Pagnotta on the show early next week, and he can fill us in a little bit more on what we're listening to. Let's get over to the Cool Bet lines before we do some marbles. We have the by the way, one other one. Should we get to this one from? You
want to talk about this ice from the Chris Johnston tweet? It keeps coming.
Yeah. Give me the latest. Obviously, I've been talking to Hacksaw, so it's hard to keep track.
So Chris I guess he's in Italy for this test event, and
went to go check out what's going on with this ice.
And they had to. Well, you already mentioned, but how could the NHL ever do business with the IOC again? They can't get it together. How hard is it to build a rink? How many years did they know it was in Italy, and you can't get it done? This is pathetic. This is a joke. They should pull out right now. Just hold their own tournament somewhere. This is there's no arena. I see Roy Mack in chat us. He says he's got tickets to the gold medal game. He's like, I guess I'm not going now. We're a month away from this, and you don't have ice? I guess you can build ice in a month, but how could they ever be like, yeah, we're going to send our players to your facility? They can't build an arena to agreed dimensions. And
the timing. I mean, these are supposed to be done a year out. There were tournaments that have supposed to been hosted in this event that were canceled. And this is literally the first test event. I don't know what teams or players they've got out there, but when they're bringing out the watering can for a massive hole in the ice, it does sound like this is a concerning situation.
I was on team. You have to go to the Olympics. It was so much exposure. But if they can't provide a facility, why would the NHL ever do business with them? Now, it's in Salt Lake City, but not the next one. I think the one after. Or is it 2030? I don't remember which one. But, Ryan Smith is in charge. He's going to do a good job there. But this is ridiculous.
Well, they have to have a tournament this year. And I'm with you. I know they said there is no backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that there is. And I don't care whether they go to Sweden and Finland or, Davos where they do the Spengler, whatever. And it might screw a lot of people like Roy Mack who got tickets for the events. But these games, this competition for hockey supremacy, best on best, has to happen.
We didn't spend months or years debating the team for them to announce the team, getting mad that Marc Scheifele is not on the team, for them to not play. So they better be playing. I don't care if it's at this half-built arena. I don't care if it's on a lake somewhere. Just get these games in. We need to have this. They already have the schedule break built in, Huss. I mean, we can't be talking about the Jets. We need that break, too, to talk about a winner, because if this losing streak continues, it's going to be rough. And 32% of chatters Huss do think they finally win tonight, by the way.
Right on. Well, we'll see you there, folks, up in 316. And listen, if you've got tickets elsewhere, come and join us in the Hangar Bar around the intermissions.
Witness history.
Or before the game. Yes.
Either
Break
way.
the streak. We need the positive vibes of the WST crew to make it happen.
Win or lose. If they win, you're like, oh, it was at that historic game where they snapped the losing streak. Or if they lose, you're like, wow, I was at another epic collapse by the Winnipeg Jets where they blew a 2-goal lead. You know, what if they do allow a goal, Huss, in the final minute of the second period for the third game in a row? Wouldn't that be crazy? But you could auction off that ticket stub for real money.
They don't have ticket stubs anymore. Yeah. Although you did see my tweet. I actually had a hard ticket for that game. How cool was that?
What did you do with that? That's Travis Kelce's last game.
It could be.
You should hang on to that.
Well, yeah, I've got it in I got a little travel thing that I put my passport and stuff in there. And just over the years, I always put my tickets in and then haven't had a ticket for anything. And I don't know, God knows how long. Hey, just quickly before we get to the cool bet lines, again, last call for marbles. Hockey Canada just announced the women's team for the Olympic Games. Hopefully they can play as well. Yeah. But a huge congratulations to Manitoba hockey legend Jocelyn Larocque, who is going back to, I believe this is going to be her 4th Olympic Games. Jocelyn from St. Anne is one of the defense players for the team, along with Aaron Ambrose, Renata Fast, Sophie Jacques, Ellis Shelton, Katie Tabin, and Claire Thompson. The goalies, Anne-Renee Debienne, Emerin Smashmeyer, and Kayla Osborne. And the forwards, Emily Clark, Sarah Fillier, Jen Gardner, Julia Gosling, Brianne Jenner, Emma Malte, Sarah Nurse, Kristen O'Neill, Captain Clutch herself, Marie-Philippe Poulin, Natalie Spooner, Laura Stacy, Blair Turnbull, and Daryl Watts. Connected with Bailey Bram at the Hockey Helps the Homeless event. And Bailey said she'd be happy to come on and talk about the Olympic women's event. So it'd be great to have a former national team player with us on WST to chop that up. All right, we got to get to marbles. Let me quickly hit our cool bet lines. Good luck again to everybody that qualified for Monday's poker final for the trip to Costa Rica. Looking forward to that one. Hockey tonight, the lines are finally kind of making the Jets legitimate home dogs. Jets plus 108 tonight. LA Kings minus 126. And listen, I will never bet against the Jets. That's just not my style. But I'm no dummy. We've seen the likes of Jack Roslovic score against the Jets during this streak.
Appleton.
We saw the Mason Appleton fiasco. I requested to the Cool Bet boys, could you please add Jeff Malott to the anytime goal scorers tonight? And he is plus 775 for tonight's game. So just saying, as this Murphy's Law season continues, don't be surprised if Jeff Malott scores tonight. And if you want to back that, plus 775 over at CoolBet. Caps minus 130 in Chi-Town against the Blackhawks. And the other game a little later on, Central Division matchup, St. Louis and Utah. Utah minus 175. NFL playoffs, Rams 10.5-point favorites tomorrow afternoon against the Panthers. By the way, if you missed it earlier, we did a full WST winners show this morning. It's on the YouTube channel, myself, Pat, and Jake with all of our picks. Packers are now 1.5-point favorites over the Bears, minus 123 on the money line. Bills Jags is a straight up pick 'em, minus 110 for the Bills, minus 108 for the Jags. Wow, the Niners are now 6-point favorites, 6-point underdogs, I should say, against the Eagles. That line is really moving towards Philly. Patriots minus 3.5 against the Chargers, and the Texans 3-point favorites against the Houston Texans. We've cooked up a bunch for you in the combo cards, so check them all out. Our pay dirt parlay is Puka Nacua, Christian McCaffrey, and Ramondre Stevenson boosted to plus 817. And we've got totals. We're taking 3 unders: Bears, Packers, Eagles, Niners, Steelers, Texans. And then our partner parlay is we're just going money line. We got a great number on this. Bills to win, Patriots to win, Texans to win. Boosted from plus 373 to plus 340. Those are all in the combo cards. We got a couple exclusives cooked up in the exclusives as well for player props. All of that at CoolBet. If you haven't played a CoolBet before, use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. All right, Remo. It has been a long week. I'm looking forward to having fun with the gang tonight at the game. Hopefully we get a win. But I am looking forward to a marble race. Without further ado, let's get the festivities underway. And we started off with a little bit of an intro song from the legendary Tristan Rivers music himself. I always look forward to see which one Remis has selected. Let's play it, and let's get into the marbles on a Friday on WST.
It's Friday, another week of work's gone by. You deserve to treat yourself, maybe an ice cream cake or a bottle of rye. Phone the whole day, so lax you can't deny. Why use effort even for pleasure? Give blind luck a try. It's time to do a marble race. No skills separating best to worst. Marble race. Just type marbles with the punctuation first. Marble race. Don't spare or you will suffer. Let's get to your mark before it's too late. Set go.
Oh, great version. Just what we needed right now. All right, Reem, if we want to get her going, throw me in, please. All caps. Just a quick note on the Moose. They did lose last night 7-3 to kick off their road trip in Milwaukee. But for those of you that, and myself included, I kind of mentioned that hopefully this Danny Zhilkin call-up was maybe a sign of things to come and could maybe light a fire in some of the younger players that I think we're all hoping can really kind of move forward in the second half of the season. Brad Lambert recorded his first multi-point game of the season with a goal and an assist. And Colby Barlow had a beauty last night, only his 3rd goal of the year. But hopefully there'll be some good things moving forward for the Moose, and particularly those players that come with a first-round pedigree that are looking to maybe get an opportunity later on this year or next year with the Winnipeg Jets. All right, Remo, where are we doing the race today?
Let me do it. Let me just fire it up here. Didn't the Moose lose quite a bit, though, to Milwaukee yesterday?
Yeah, I just said 7-3.
Yeah, well, I guess Barlow had a nice goal, though.
Yeah, Barlow had a beautiful goal. Lambert had one. The bottom line is the points just hadn't been coming. Brad Lambert had 2 goals and 1 assist in 17 games, I think. So, I mean, you'd like to see these guys start doing things. Not at the expense of, the 200-foot game and losing, but, as we pay attention. I know Moose are playing Saturday night, and I did hear our boy Dan Fink is going to have that call, I believe, on OB. Of course, moosehockey.com for all that information. Moose on this road trip right now while Remis gets this marble race ready. They lost the New Year's game, returned the favor and beat Abbotsford 4-1 on the 2nd. That was their first game since the 2nd. They go back-to-back in Rockford and Chicago on the weekend. Then back to Rockford on Tuesday. 2 games against Laval next Friday and Saturday. And then when the Jets finally hit the road for that week down in Florida, it'll be Grand Rapids here in town on the 23rd, on the Sunday the 25th, and then Rockford the following weekend on Saturday and Sunday, the 31st and the 1st. That Friday night game on the 23rd is a 7 p.m. game. All the other ones are 2 p.m. starts. And we'll get Fink on next week to get the latest on the Moose. I have a feeling we're going to be needing to. Unlike last year where everything was so set with the big club, there's going to be plenty more attention on Lambert, on Barlow, on all of those players, considering what's happening here with the Winnipeg Jets. All right, what track are we doing today?
Yeah, let me just pick one. I haven't really gone through and picked one today. So I changed my monitors around because I got some neck pain from sleep.
I saw you write that in the chat.
So I've been meaning to do this for like a year, at least change my monitors. I finally did. The Jets loss drove me to do it. I was like, I got to do something here to break this loss. So I moved everything around. I had to take them off. So I've been getting used to this. So it's been rough for me here today. That's why we've had a couple mistakes, but I'll getting through it. Do you want to do a standard track or a Dylan 70 that we've done?
Yeah, the Dylan 70s are great.
I think this one's good. A dreamy, lovely celebration. I'm pretty sure this one's good.
You know what? Yeah, let's do a dreamy, lovely celebration.
I think that's what we need.
Hopefully what we'll be having tonight after the Jets play the Kings. And maybe they can get 2 points and break this streak that is weighing heavily on the city of Winnipeg, the fan base, and certainly the players inside the room. Who is it that was mentioning Kevin K? Yeah, the Grand Rapids Griffins. 29, 1, 1, and 1. That is one hell of a season right now.
Is this one good? This one looks okay.
Let's do it. It looks wild. How many, what do we... Hold
on, I didn't put them in. I think we got 240.
Nicely done.
240. So let me rip this again here.
Jade's Bows, nice glazed feeling.
People are recommending...
Has MC Stormy been checking out, doing some scouting on tracks?
Should we use his? Sure, if... Nice glazed feeling? Should I go with Stormy's suggestion here?
Let's do it. Blind track suggested by MC Stormy in the chat. I like it.
Sorry, I'm injured. I've been playing hurt for months, Huss. I got this nagging injury.
You know what? Credit to you, Remo. Never complained about it. Never even mentioned it. But getting through the show.
I'm like Connor Hellebuck. I just played through it until I needed to get it cleaned up, and I cleaned up my monitors last night after the game.
All right, we are flying blind today, folks. On a suggestion from MC Stormy, we're going to Jade Bow's nice glazed feeling.
Looks good.
241 in it. Winner will get a hoodie. By the way, we are out of a few of sizes right now, so depending on what size you are, it may be a bit of a wait on hoodies, but I'm on that, and we should have some in a few weeks. Appreciate anyone's patience that I don't have the right size for right now. All right, here we go. One last act of business before we get ready to head down to the rink tonight and see the Jets and Kings go at it. We have dropped the marbles into an interesting cylinder. I'm not sure exactly if that is a maple leaf in the background.
Torch? Paintbrush?
Another kind of leaf. might be associated with the weekend. You never know. Boring Sean Monahan with a bit of a slow start. But Chucker's looking pretty good. Waiters. And you know what's interesting now? I guess we now have the names back.
Yeah.
At least for the marble race.
It's everyone's YouTube name. It took out the @ symbol in front, which is nice.
Smart.
Which is nice, yeah.
Smart. Thank you very much. Shout out to ChatGPT or whoever you did that. The Wild SMA, Wicked John, XX Rev, Matt Hyman, see ya. An early elimination. And Herb is in first place right now. Herbie the man right now in first place. Oh, here's Duck Dad. What's up, Duck Dad? Duck Dad popped in for WST winners today. Loyal Lock Shop viewer for myself and Dustin at noon over on EST. We're still waiting for that elusive first EST winner. We have to come out there and personally deliver the hoodie to whoever the first Edmonton winner is. So right now we got Herb. We got Dry H, Gilbert Marion, Cigars for Everyone. Ooh, Misspell just got popped. Andrew Haleko on one side, but Herb still in first place. Looks like there's about 4 or 5 contenders right now. But Herb the man, Scott Harlock, Andrew Haleko, Dry H, Pretty and Pionk has entered the chat. Kenny's water bottle as well. Oh, and Blackie O has come from behind and now taken the lead. Oh, I just got top roped. I just saw myself meet an unfortunate demise. All right, this is going into the not Maple Leaf finish. Blackie O is in first right now. Going into the top part of the leaf. I shouldn't be surprised that there's a bunch of stoners that just blaze up and create tracks on this. Julia Marr.
Wow.
I believe it, like just coming out of the pack at the end. Julia with the win. Congratulations. Oh, there's VR Montenegro in third place. This is Julia Marr. Great win for Julia. We didn't really see her. She was sneaking right behind the pack and then shot up and won it. Strong run through the top of the leaf into the final bin. Bryce YWG in second. Edmonton's own EST reppin' VR Montenegro in third. Holy Smoly in fourth. Shane Payne 1, 2, 3 is 5. Drew Doughty. Congratulations, Drew. Good luck in the Olympics if you guys actually play on that ridiculous rink. 7 is Scott Harlock. Herb Sturman, who was right there for so much of the race. Blackie O, and 8 Stick Man. So, Julia, fire us an email, winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com. I'll let you know whether we've got your size or not. If not, you can hang tight for a bit. We'll do a rundown and show everybody where they finished. There's Kenny's water bottle in 13th. See Jeff Montgomery, Ty Pet Cow, Wicked John, Choices TK, pretty nice one. What up, Marc Amp Yoga, 26th today. The Real Spency in the 33rd. Rip City Step, what's going on, Rip? Another great log shopper. There's Cowboy. We can continue. Our pal Jet Oil Tom. And we'll see if Jet Oil tonight. Here's our guy, Donnie Boy. What's up, Donnie Boy? Northside Sandwich. And a bunch of eliminations starting with Schnitzy. Myself included. I'm not sure. Maybe the fire burned a bunch of guys that were just a little tardy. We do see the fire at the end. Here are all the marbles, including Hustler, that did not finish the race. There's Duck Dad. Not our day today. Rennie's suit. But Julia Marr. Julia Marr, I believe first-time winner First-time winner tonight. Good stuff today, folks. Listen, great week. Lots of people coming out. You can tell people care about this hockey team and are bent about it, but still popping in. So we really do appreciate everyone joining us for some big shows this week. I mean, I guess it's good for business, but like all of you, it's getting a little old. Let's see if they can avoid going 12 in a row tonight with a win. Remo, you got any football picks before we go? Who you like this weekend?
Yeah, I like. I'll take Pittsburgh as a home dog. I don't care. Although I did see. Remember Pittsburgh at home? I did see some highlights of Tim Tebow hitting Demaryius Thomas in overtime when they were huge.
The 80-yard touchdown pass that went 2 yards through the air.
Yeah, Rams. I like the Jaguars over the Bills in a close one. I would take the Niners with the points. 6 seems like a lot. Chargers plus 3.5. Maybe it'll be close. Drake May making his first ever playoff start. And have you seen the quarterbacks that the Patriots played? I know like they had to go and make the plays and win the games, and they certainly did that, but they never played anyone good all year. Maybe the most ridiculous schedule. When they did play a good team, I think you and Jake talked about this on Winners. When they did play a good team, like they had their backup in. It was bad, so I'll go with the Chargers. Those are a couple of my picks.
Nice. A few upsets. It should be good. Well, we'll have all that to talk about. 2 more games. We got tonight against the Kings, Sunday afternoon against the New Jersey Devils, and then right back at it on Monday, getting ready for the New York Islanders to come to town. Then it's a quick road game, I believe, to Minnesota, 1 and done, and then back home for more. I guess the Leafs are here on the 17th. You got the Red Wings still to come, so still lots of hockey. But first things first, find a way to break this streak. Looking forward to seeing many of you tonight at the game. We'll be up in the Upper Bowl in Section 316, outside in the Hangar Bar, probably in around intermission, so come and say hi if you're at the game. And other than that, huge thanks to all of our sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. And, of course, all of you for making us a part of yours. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Don't forget WST Sunday Live. Connor and Liz firing it up 9 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.